Two Wheels this week, more from this year's International Bike Show, including Honda's SP1. But first, a brand new machine from Kawasaki.
Well, this is it, Kawasaki ZX12R, codename 320 at the factory because 320 Ks means 200 miles an hour. Has anyone done 200 miles an hour on it yet? We don't know, but just what goes to make this bike so special? Well, I'm going to show you on this classic green one because Kawasaki have been very kind to us and everyone else here at the show because they've actually cut this one up so we can see just what makes it tick all along here. But look, let's just start with the rear tyre, which is a strange thing to say, but this is a 200 section rear tyre, 200 by 50, which is the biggest tyre we've ever seen on a bike, and it's absolutely enormous. When you see that rear view, it looks more like a bus tyre than a bike tyre. Come along here, you can see the silencer's being cut through, and it just goes to show how much work goes into a silencer these days. There's stainless steel there, there's wire wool, there's catalytic converter inside there. Bloody amazing. This swinging arm, they haven't sectioned that, but inside, that might look a little bit weedy to you, that swinging arm, but inside it's actually been ribbed on the inside to give it extra strength. Then coming to the frame and seat unit here, this is where they've really gone to town. We've got something very, very new. The frame here is a box section and it's a spine frame. Unlike the old Kawasaki, which had its perimeter frame round here, spine over the top, incorporates the airbox actually within the frame. Another new thing, it's got fuel injection on this quacker, and look at them all across there, feeding this massive 1200cc, well, 1189cc motor. While I'm talking about the engine, 183 brake horsepower it produces, which is 9 more than the Hayabusa. This is going to have a lot of poke. And the Blackbird compared with this, only 159 brake horse. And when you think the Blackbird, all the fuss that was made over that 3 years ago, this is really a mega tool. Other little neat touches, you see the battery there, when that cover's on, the battery's there is actually hidden in the frame. You won't actually see it. Fuel tank, to get the weight well down. This is actually the fuel tank that's been sectioned. Fill it up the top, fuel floods down to the bottom there. It's very, very neat. But one of the most distinctive things on this, and which is going to cause a lot of discussion I'm sure, is this Hoover pooper scooper up the front. See this? This is the Ram Air. Kawasaki first with Ram Air on bikes anyway, with the old ZZR. But just look at that thing, massive, stuck well out the front. But it's supposed to add another 5 brake horsepower. That's when you're doing over 150, mind you. So on British roads, we needn't worry about such things. But talking about speed, there's a man I want to have a word with. Geoff, this 200 mile an hour thing, is it going to do it?
Well, it's going to depend really, Geoff, on the day, the weather, the rider, you know. We believe it will. We believe it will. We believe it will. One thing I can tell you, it's the fastest and the most powerful.
Because it doesn't seem long ago we were talking about 100 brake horsepower limits, does it? And now we're up to 200 miles an hour. Do you see any sort of political problem with that?
If you're asking me whether it's irresponsible that we should produce a bike like this, then I'd say to you, if it's irresponsible to build any motor vehicle that's capable of breaking a speed limit, then we're guilty as charged. But so's everybody else in the hall, so's everybody else in the car business. And as long as it's not illegal, and you know we can build it and there's a demand for it, we're going to do it. But let me make the point, obviously this bike is for the committed enthusiast and we'll recommend a high level of training for the people that are going to ride it.
The more experienced rider like me?
Well, you've been around a while, yeah, I'll grant you that. So yeah, I think you could probably handle it.
Do you remember this Lazer Revolution helmet I showed you at the beginning of this last year? Huh? Impressive, isn't it? You could buy this in the shops, but unfortunately people were reluctant to do so because it is indeed non-approved. But it's still smart. The lift up front, with the solar visor all fitted in, and that fancy mask system. Well, what Lazer have done to address the problem of it not being approved is to produce this one, which is the jet mask, which is £130 and still has the mask on the front just like that, and is approved. Okay, you don't get the black visor though, you have to have a clear visor, but you understand that, don't you? Right, so you want a flip up fronted helmet from Lazer? Well, you can, because this one's going through approval as we speak, and this may be available in December or possibly in the new year. It uses the back end of the Revolution and the jet mask, but it's got an all new front on it and it's called the Century. And you'll get that for 149 quid, which is excellent value for money for a quality helmet, and it comes with a pin lock visor, which is a double glazing visor system on the inside as an anti-mist.
What does that look like there to you? That bit, just that bit, the new twin headlamps. It looks like a scooter to me. Looks like one of them trendy new scooters that we see loads of, but it's not a scooter. It's a Suzuki Bandit, 600 Bandit. This is the half faired version, still only a half fairing, but it's a new half fairing, and I'm not too sure about it myself. You can still buy the Bandit in its naked version. But I think putting this new style fairing on it, they took the aggressive edge off it, because the Bandit's like kind of a street bike, street fighter style bike, you know, people put rental bars on them and all that. So I'm not sure about this, but it might appeal to, shall we say, the more civilised type of bike rider, the person who doesn't want to look quite so aggressive.
Rod,
This way.
I want your undivided attention, right? Because earlier on when you were talking to Claire, you ignored her. Completely ignored her to look at the totty over the shoulder. Here.
I'm only human. I couldn't help myself, you know.
Right, well, I want your undivided attention. In fact, I want you to inform me about this product I have here against my body.
Wayne, it's a back protector, mate. Goes on your back.
Ah, right. Well, you mentioned something about... Oh, coccyx.
Ah,
coccyx.
yes.
Right
Coccyx.
then. Right, here, look. Tell me about it then.
You've got your hard outer to protect the main impact, and then
Right.
these cells here are gas filled with a gas similar to oxygen. So these are spongy and absorb.
Oh, I
further
say,
impact.
that's technical. Is this a revolutionary product then?
Revolutionary, Wayne.
Does this mean big bucks, Rod?
£99, Wayne.
Yeah, it's not out of order. I can accept that. Anything else you want to show me, mate?
Let me show you this.
All right then.
This
What's so
glove,
special about this then? It's a glove.
but it's the most expensive motorcycle glove in the world.
Can I afford it? I ask myself. How much is that glove?
£299.
What, do you get two or one?
150 for one,
Ah.
or 300 for the pair.
Well, hey, what a bargain. What's so special about it then?
You've got your carbon over your knuckles and all over your wrist. This is exactly what a GP rider would pick up and stick on his wrist.
Yeah?
You've got your carbonised leather, kangaroo skin palm, Kevlar, and it retails at 299 quid.
Hey, it is very impressive, I must admit, but I didn't mean to be. Did I sound interesting then?
I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah, just do me a favour, will you? Just hold that a second, will you? Because you're boring me now. See you, mate.
Wayne.
Now here's a bike you won't have seen before. This is the Victory, a V-twin, as you can see there. Air oil cooled motor, absolutely massive, overhead cam, fuel injected. In fact, it's the first all-American bike for 50 years. We've all heard of Harleys, but this is something different. Look at these forks, absolutely massive. 45mm stanchions, you won't have seen those anywhere else. Coming back down the bike, big beefy exhaust here, cantilever rear end with the shock absorber tucked under the seat, and a belt drive to the rear. It's quite a bike, very impressive in its size. Available now in America, in fact been available for a couple of years. It's yet to be homologated for the European market, but hopefully should be available in March. Don't know a price yet, but I've been assured it's going to be competitive.
Now, giant trail bikes, lots of people do them. Honda have got a fantastic one, the Varadero, which we all know about, and Cagiva have had one for some time with their Grand Canyon. But you'll know, or you maybe know, that the Grand Canyon has got a Ducati engine in it, because Cagiva and Ducati really, well, they're all one. Or they were all one. Somewhere along the line they've fallen out with each other, because for their new trailer bike, this one, Cagiva have nicked the engine from Suzuki. It's got a TL1000 motor in it, and if you've never ridden anything with one of them in it, well, you're really missing out. It's a fantastic engine. This thing is going to be so much fun to ride. It's going to be ballistic, really tremendous. It's got a funny thing here. It's got two filler caps. I had to ask the question why. I couldn't work it out. It's because the tank, it's not in two halves, it's all one, but it's the way it's formed, the way it's shaped around the frame. It makes it, well, it takes a very long time to get all the fuel in through one of them, so they have two. Squirt it in one and then squirt it in the other one. You can have one of these early next year, and if you want one like this with all this luggage on the back, it'll cost you just less than £7,000. And if you want the basic Navigator, that'll cost you just less than £6,500. Basic Navigator, I said, yes, that's the name of it, the Navigator. I'm not sure about that. It does sound a bit like something you should be towing behind a Volvo. It sounds like a caravan. The Sprite 4-berth Navigator. Don't you think so? Can't have everything, can you? But it has got a cracking engine.
Also with the same engine, the TL1000 is the Cagiva Raptor and the V Raptor. Well, you could say they're combining Japanese reliability with Italian flair. And if you're looking at these thinking, well, they look a bit like the Ducati Monster, you wouldn't be far wrong, because they're actually designed by the same guy. Well, as you can see, they're very stylised, aggressive-looking beasts here. They've even got features like teeth here, which is quite amazing. And the speedo here is fantastic, very angular. And this Nothing to do with performance, this is all cosmetic. This is the Cagiva V Raptor. Slightly quicker, only by about 5 miles an hour. Slightly more expensive, only by about 250 quid. But very, very stylised. I guess if you want to turn up looking like a proper mean biker, this might just do the job.
Now with the same theme as the Cagiva motorcycles, over here on the Lazer stand, again we've got Italian bike, Italian styling with a Japanese engine. And again it's a Suzuki engine. This one they've nicked from Suzuki's SV650, another V-twin. But it's the same sort of thing really, naked type street bike, open trellis style frame, which most of them are going that way now. Really it was all started by the Ducati Monster. That seems to still be the one that everybody's trying to beat. This is called the Lynx. Very, very basic bike, as I say, but also not very expensive. It's still a little bit off yet in the production way, but it's expected to cost around about £4,500. We don't actually know if this is really going to go into production yet. Lazer premiered this a couple of weeks ago over in Holland, so the NEC here is only the second place to actually see this machine. It looks good, it's not going to be expensive, it's got a great engine again, good Suzuki engine, but if you want one, you're probably going to have to wait around about 6 or 7 months. It's going to be next June or July before you can get your hands on one.
Beta motorcycles. Well, if you're interested in the world of trials, you would know we have a world champion in Dougie Lampkin, and he does indeed ride a Beta and has done for a number of years. He's bloody good, and in fact I think I taught him everything he knows. No, the truth of the matter is Beta have been associated with trials and they've also been associated with scooters, but things are changing because they are launching these little babies. A 50cc supermoto like that, liquid cooled, and that's learner legal for you 16-year-olds. And not only are they doing that, they're doing this thing here. This is 200cc, and they do a 125 version of it. Yes, indeed, we're talking smart stuff, aren't we, yeah? But I've got something else to show you. Can you follow me, please, cameraman? Would you like to step this way? Because the Beta people are known for style, because they're Italian after all. And when it comes to style, I believe they've got it. Now, this is indeed a prototype, and it won't be available till June of 2000. But it's not that long to wait for something funky, and it's going to be available in various different CC sizes.
There'll be more from this year's show after the break, including Kawasaki's new ZX6 and ZX9, and Honda's new world superbike, the SP1.
ZX6R, what's new on this? New paint job, very distinctive. New headlights, equally distinctive, 2 headlights there. And again, pooper scooper up the front there. This is really sort of making a marked change. Underneath this though, it's got lots of changes. Power's up, 109 brake horsepower this time. That's against 107 on the CBR or 110 on the R6. Altogether, quite a together bike, and it's what Kawasaki hope will meet the others head on. ZX9R, a good solid bike and an old favourite, but this time with a brand new fairing with twin headlights and with that Ram Air pooper scooper up the front. That's for a modified engine, now 147 brake horsepower, and uses a 12.2 to 1 compression ratio, so you're going to need some decent gas on this one. Comes in all the pretty colours. We've got a green one up there, this blue one and a red one, and it's going to cost you around £8,000.
Well, a lot of people will be looking at this thinking, the Firestorm with a couple of fairings slapped on the side. Well, it is not. It is in fact the entirely new SP1. Yeah, there are a few vague similarities, the radiators on the side, the VTR splashed across the side, but that's where it ends. It simply doesn't have a new frock on. It promises great things, more revs, more power and better throttle control. That important question, what power will it throw at you? Well, according to the brochure, the V-twin engine will knock out about 134 brake horsepower at the crank. And another important question, how much is a magnificent machine like this going to cost you? Well, it's not quite as frightening as you might imagine. £10,000, not that bad, but wait for it, the race replica kit will cost you in excess of £25,000 upwards, so slightly more expensive there. But if you do want something like this stood in your driveway, you better act fast, there's only 2,000 coming into the country.
This is one of those trade-only stands, and I've sneaked on here for a sneak preview of what is going to be available for the year 2000. Now this is Nevis marketing stand, and they do several different products from all around the world. But this is the one I want to bring to your attention. a simple plain jacket, you might say. No, not really. It's a mixture of textiles and very, very high technical textiles as well. Very abrasive resilient, very windproof and waterproof. And in addition to that, we've got leather. We've got leather on the shoulders and on the elbows. So those of you who are sceptical about textile material being as abrasive, as resilient as you would like, they've addressed the problem, haven't they? And that jacket there you can buy with a lot of technical features. And I just want to point this out as well. That'll definitely keep you warm in the winter. Alu-4 lining. And that'll cost you around 230 quid. But don't bother asking your dealer yet, because it will not be available till January. Now naturally, they're going to do a pair of trousers to match. And this is they. Exactly the same sort of features, some high-tech materials and textiles with leather on the knee and leather on the butt. For those, again, who are a bit sceptical about the abrasive resilience of textile materials.
Well, I've heard people say that if you're going to buy a monster tourer like this, you might as well buy a car. Well, BMW with this K1200LT, which has just been voted best tourer, they're going down the same avenue as the car world, because all the little bits and pieces, the add-on extras that you buy for this type of machine, have all now been put into packs like you do in the car world. So 13 grand will buy you the basic bike, 13,600 buys you the SE pack. And in the SE pack you get this very, very nice soft touch seat, which is also heated, keep your bum warm. You get heated grips and you get an onboard computer. Then if you want to go for the absolute maximum, the luxury, you go for the Lux pack, which has got all of those things, plus cruise control, plus chrome back mirrors and some nice chromey bits and pieces on the side, plus this enormous screen, which of course, as you probably know, is adjustable, and not forgetting a CD player. Fantastic, eh? But all of that will cost you over £14,500.
Thinking of buying your children a little something for Christmas? Got just the thing here. A motorcycle boot, a regular road motorcycle boot for children. All right, size 11 through to size 4. That is kiddies 11 to growed up size 4 for 60 quid. Not bad value for money, but a well-made Italian boot. But so dads don't feel left out. And if you kids fancy the idea of buying dad something for Christmas, we've got just the thing. We've got him a boot as well from the same company, which is Falco. And they're doing this boot, which is a waterproof sports boot. So you've got the best of both worlds there. You can look funky and be practical as well. And that's for £100. So you better start saving, haven't you? Hello, you see me up there? Hello. What is this, you ask? A Malaguti Madison. And it's a big one, isn't it? It's a big one with a big seat. It was Geoff. Geoff said to me, Wayne, you can do that one because it's got a big seat. I really don't know what he's trying to say. But me and my scooters, I love my scooters. And this particular one is a 250cc. It's actually, the engine is a donor engine from Yamaha. They use it in their scooter version, the Majesty. But they also do a 125 in this model as well. Now the costs are remarkably different, £1,100 different. This will cost you 3,800 quid. But this particular one is big, and I like it big.
Now let's say that you fancy an Aprilia RSV Melee, and perhaps you really like the SP one, but that's going to cost you £20,000. Standard one in its nice new yellow, that's going to cost you 9,700. But perhaps you want something that little bit special, but you don't want to spend your 20 grand. How about this one? This is the new R version. It's got Öhlins forks at the front, Öhlins shock at the rear, and some very trick aluminium wheels, very lightweight, and they've been moulded on Formula One car technology. And not only that, it's got a resin petrol tank instead of the steel one, which makes it much lighter. Engine's the same, but you do get a very tricked up bike with some of the parts of the SP, but for a lot less money.
Kymco. I introduced you to Kymco last year at the motorcycle show, if you should remember or watch the programme. And the fact is they're a Taiwanese brand machine with some association with Honda. And that's where this little baby comes into its own, because Kymco and Honda together used to produce that little engine that was used in the CG125, a reliable little pushrod engine. And that's what's in this baby. And therefore it's very reliable and gives you an extraordinarily large amount of miles to the gallon, which is good for the old pocket, is it not? Now this particular bike, called the Zing, I had a go on recently, and it zung along the road quite freely, yeah, but not exactly fast. But it is a learner legal machine, and you've got to bear that in mind. although it looks huge, and in fact I would say very representative of a bike that may be 500cc, it is only a 125. This little engine is enough power to keep you going for around 55-60 miles an hour with quite a lot of acceleration. Now, something that you may never ask your dealer, but I'm always interested in, is the cost of the bits and pieces. Bits and pieces, for example, if someone tries to steal your machine and breaks into the ignition lock, how much will it cost you? Well, I know for definite that an ignition lock for a bike, something like a Honda, Kawasaki or any other Japanese machine, can cost you well into the £90, £100 or more for a lock, one lock. These guys will do a complete lock set for around 70 quid. They'll replace a mirror, would you believe, about £7 or £8. They'll do a lever for as little as 2 quid. These are all relevant, especially if you're a learner and maybe you might have a little misfortune, you're a bit unsteady on it, falls over, break the mirror, bend the lever. Okay, having spoke about the bike in its size and its structure, hey, I'm only little and I can reach the ground really easy. So for you ladies out there who are a little bit vertically challenged like I am, no problem at all. And if you want a nice economical cruiser for work, this is the baby to consider.
Well, I've been people watching. I like people watching, it's good fun, you know. Bit of a nosy parker me, but I've been stood here on the Honda stand watching people walking about, and they say beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I've watched loads and loads of people walk straight past this. They've not even noticed it, some people. Honda's new X11, how can you not notice this big beast? Look at the size of it. 1100 cc's. It's got an engine from the fantastic Blackbird, but it's a little bit different. It uses its power differently, it makes its power differently. It's tuned for more mid-range, more grunt. Not quite as much top end, although it'll still do somewhere near 170 miles an hour, which is incredible for a bike without a fairing. The gearbox is different on this to what you would normally expect. We've only got 5 speeds. Again, it's all down to having more power in the mid-range. But I've been out for a ride on one of these, spent quite a bit of time on one of these, and I have to tell you, it's absolutely ballistic. It's incredibly fast and handles superb. And if you're looking for a bike to give you some presence on the road, you want to be imposing on the road, you do a lot worse and get one of these. Just look at the size of it at the front, the width at the front, it's absolutely massive. Well, that's all from this year's International Bike Show. On Two Wheels next week, Geoff visits a bike show with a difference. It's a show dedicated to Japanese classic motorcycles. And also on Two Wheels next week, Wayne and I spend the day on a couple of Kymco scooters.